There's a moment in the Egyptian afterlife where the gods don't ask what you believed. They don't ask what you said you were. They ask what you did, and they weigh it. And standing beside that scale is Anubis, calm, silent, and impossibly precise. Most people think he's just the god of death, but that's the part everyone gets wrong. Because Anubis doesn't take your life. He decides whether your soul gets to keep its name. By the end, you'll understand why Anubis is feared, not as a monster, but as a judge who never flinches. Tonight, we're opening a myth case file on Anubis, the judge of hearts, the one who stands at the final doorway. We start with the rules of a world where your heart is your record. Then we follow the moment judgment begins, and we end with the detail pop culture keeps missing: why his silence is the scariest part. In ancient Egypt, death wasn't an ending, it was a passage into a system, order carved into the universe itself. They called that order Maat, truth, balance, the shape of things as they're supposed to be, and anything that threatened it, lies, cruelty, selfishness, wasn't just bad, it was dangerous. Picture it: torchlight flickering on temple stone, incense in the air, gold catching shadows like fireflies, and behind every prayer is the same fear. In this world, breaking Maat doesn't just punish you, it changes you. Anubis is easy to misunderstand because he looks like a warning, a jackal-headed figure in dark linen and gold, eyes like polished obsidian, still unreadable. But here are the anchors: desire, to protect the boundary between chaos and order. Flaw or curse, he cannot soften judgment, ever. Status, guardian of tombs, guide of the dead, keeper of rituals that must be done perfectly. And the most human part, he wasn't a monster at the beginning. He's a protector who learned that mercy in the wrong place can destroy everything. When a person dies, their story doesn't vanish, it follows them. The Egyptians believed your heart carried the weight of your life, not metaphorically, literally. And when the dead arrive in the Hall of Two Truths, the trial begins. One side of the scale, the heart; the other, a feather, Maat's feather, as light as truth itself. Anubis steps forward and sets the scale. Before this moment, the dead can still hope. After this moment, they can only be measured. And from that moment, it stops being a legend and becomes a warning. The dead stand before 42 judges, and each question feels like a blade. Not, "Are you perfect?" but, "What did you choose when no one was watching?" Anubis doesn't argue. He adjusts the scale. He introduces the one symbol that matters most: the feather. Not a weapon, not a curse, just a standard that doesn't care about your excuses. Reset line. But that was only the first sign. Now the heart is placed, and this is where the fear deepens, because the heart isn't only heavy from evil, it can be heavy from avoidance, from guilt you never faced, from harm you justified, from truth you refused to name. The scale trembles, and the question becomes, if your heart tells the full story, will it speak for you or against you? Reset line. This is where everything turns. If the heart is heavier than the feather, judgment is not a lecture, it's a verdict. The soul doesn't get a second attempt, no bargains, no speech, no final performance. And nearby waits something worse than hell. Ammit, part crocodile, lion, and hippo, the devourer. Two bad options: a heart that stays light or a heart that gets eaten, erased. Shorter sentences now. The room feels smaller. Anubis watches the needle. Reset line, and then the price is collected. Here's what people get wrong. They think Anubis is the one who punishes you. They imagine him as the executioner. But in many tellings, Anubis is not the destroyer. He's the operator of the system. He doesn't devour the heart. He doesn't scream judgment. He measures. And that changes everything. Because if Anubis isn't a monster, then the terrifying thing isn't him. It's the idea that the universe might be built with a scale inside it. If this version is true, it changes everything about why we fear Anubis. The price isn't fire, it isn't torture, it's erasure. If your heart fails, Ammit devours it, and you don't become a demon, you don't become a ghost, you become nothing. No afterlife, no reunion, no story. The irony is brutal. You spend your whole life building a name, and in the end, a silent god decides whether your name is heavy enough to sink or light enough to rise. They get what they wanted, a final answer, but it destroys them. Maybe that's why this story survives, because deep down, we all know the fear Anubis represents. Not fear of dying, but fear of being measured without our excuses. A life summarized by what we actually chose, what we avoided, what we justified, what we did when no one was watching. And maybe that's the real reason people fear Anubis. He doesn't chase you, he waits at the end with a scale that never lies. Anubis isn't feared because he's violent, he's feared because he's accurate. And the echo is simple. One day, the story you tell yourself won't be the one that matters. Only the weight of your heart will. Subscribe if you want more Myth Case files. Comment the next figure you want me to open.